Right, hi everyone, welcome to the channel, thanks for clicking. Look, I am so sick of Shill media. So sick. I hate them with a bloody passion. Why? Why do these suck-up game and movie journos have to join in with devs and directors to attack the very audience that consumes their products, movies and articles, etc.? I mean, if nothing else, what kind of business sense does that make to piss off your target market? I mean, are articles like this so irrelevant that they're out here deliberately writing bait articles to prod and poke the more vocal fans who dislike what they're talking about that day? To give some quick background, basically, when the second of Disney's new Star Wars movies came out in 2017, The Last Jedi, the majority of fans, new and old, vehemently disliked it for being disrespectful to core characters, lazily written with a Mary Sue for a main character, creating a preachy and pointless character who consistently gets in the way of organic flow of story, and for being intentionally infuriating to the older fans of the original trilogy. The writer and director of that movie, Rian Johnson, has been very honest in subsequent interviews that he wanted to quote-unquote subvert expectations fans had for the original characters such as Luke, Leia and Han, and deliberately wrote things to piss off the fans. Well, it worked. It worked so hard. It even ended up creating a pushback group called the Fandom Menace, a group of Star Wars fans that's mainly active on YouTube that dislike Disney Star Wars and are very anti-Disney. Naturally, Rian Johnson has become a hate figure online to many anti-Disney Star Wars fans, mostly due to the fact he came out in the weeks after release of The Last Jedi and mocked people who didn't like his movies and called them manbabies. Suddenly, he created a narrative that demeans any legitimate criticism of his work as petulant whining because hardcore fans didn't end up getting what they thought they wanted from the movie. Naturally, Shill Media, which is anyone who sucks up to the filmmakers for money or to gain early access content, picked up and ran with such a narrative, and now anyone who has legitimate criticisms of not just his film but all Disney Star Wars are simply man-babies who can't bear anything new. Oh, and probably sexist for not accepting Rey as a female lead, or racist for hating Rose Tico, the aforementioned pointless character who just happens to be ethnic and who also just happens to stop the main character, who just happens to be black, from doing one decent thing in the goddamn movie. If Johnson just shut his mouth, or even just apologised for making such a postmodern woke mess of a movie just to shit on the fans, arguably there wouldn't even be a Fandom Menace. There would be no need. It is a group that's like a direct pushback against the cultural war being raged on fans of many franchises, which started with the pandering and cynical female Ghostbusters in 2016, but really was exemplified and escalated by The Last Jedi and Johnson's subsequent ultra-defensive and unnecessary attack on fans. Anyway, so I mention all this now because The Last of Us Part 2 video game and its company Naughty Dog has been waging war on fans for the past 3 months and doing pretty much all of the above. I will try to avoid spoilers, but in short, the game's story was leaked online at the end of April by disgruntled game developers. The fans reacted to the highly controversial plot points, and anyone discussing it on YouTube had their channels illegally copyright claimed and struck by Naughty Dog, their owner Sony, and their Bulldog Heavies Muso Limited. That's right, anyone even discussing the leaks, and in some cases not even using any of the leaked materials such as images or clips in their videos, were claimed by a panicking corporation just trying to get rid of the problem by silencing those discussing it. Naturally, this created the Streisand effect, drawing attention to the leaks, and the fact that Naughty Dog and Sony were trying to destroy people's careers on YouTube by striking them, even though they did not leak anything and were protected under fair use legislation. It was illegal and immoral, and in the end YouTubers were vindicated and the cases dropped. But Naughty Dog acted despicably, and which is one of the main reasons they, like Rian Johnson and Disney, are now hate figures in the eyes of those once loyal fan base. Then we get to Shill Media articles like this, who are defending this kind of scumbag behaviour, this antagonising behaviour toward fans. So let's get into it. So this article comes from Sam White at GQ, and straight away from the subheading we know this is going to be an infuriating goddamn hit piece. He says, "The culture wars have come for The Last of Us Part 2 in spectacularly moronic fashion. It's Star Wars The Last Jedi all over again." Right, first of all, The culture war came for The Last of Us the moment director Neil Druckmann allowed Poisonous Toad Anita Sarkeesian, who is a known man-hater and woke video game ruiner extraordinaire, to consult on the story. So the first game is a masterpiece. And then for the sequel, she gets involved and designs a transsexual character existing 20 years into an apocalypse world. What kind of gruff survivor cares about their fucking pronouns 2 decades into the end of the world? It's unnecessary, an illogical inserting of current day politics. So no, Sam, they brought the culture wars onto themselves, mate. The Last of Us Part 2 was always going to be divisive. It was written to evoke anger and frustration, upset and debate. In a recent interview with the game's director, Neil Druckmann, he told us that he wanted to dismantle a game that so many gamers in the world hold sacred. Why? Why would you double down on the Rian Johnson philosophy when you saw how divisive it was to the audience base? Why would a game director who made a masterpiece go into the first production meeting for the sequel and say, "Okay guys, I made a whopping great game. Instead of doing more of the same and guaranteeing $1 bazillion and glorifying praise across the board again, let's dismantle our own success and ensure we drop a fucking stink bomb on our own company"? Like, what possible reason could you have to dismantle a game that so many people loved and you wrote and directed? Could it be that bloody Sarkeesian saying there's not enough lesbos and trannies and the main character's too male, pale and stale? Ugh, it's infuriating. The article continues. Whilst there have been plenty of well-articulated critiques of the game's ultra-violent revenge quest, one particular fan constituency, primarily internet man-babies and basement lurkers, has reacted especially badly. In fact, their response has been more aggressive and dramatic than ever before. No, not man-babies. If it were, how can you explain the fact that casual gamers picking up the sequel hate it and returned it in the first week of release, some without even getting halfway through? It's a poor game, poorly told, and people with genuine criticisms are not man-babies. They are the paying audience sick of being fed the narrative that if you don't like the ultra-woke shite they make you pay 50 quid to play, you are an ist, a phobe or an ism. It's lazy, offensive and highly disingenuous. I'm going to condense this next paragraph to get to the meat of it, right? So he pretty much says, the most direct expression of that ire is usually in the form of review bombing. This charming practice entails a horde of sweaty incels heading to any user review based outlet and collectively review the game with the lowest score possible. It's a protest, a boycott, a total rejection of everything the game stands for. Horde of sweaty incels? Why use this language? Isn't this guy supposed to be a professional journalist? Why use such intentionally provoking language? It's a slur. An attempt to discredit and delegitimize anyone who dissents from the official Shill narrative that the game is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. It's so unprofessional. How was something this deliberately incendiary allowed to be printed? I mean, yeah, the low scores may have been slightly over-exaggerated on such review sites, mainly because it's the only way to fight back against the slew of Shill media paid-up journos giving masterpiece scores across the board to ensure they get early access to the company's next game. It's the only way to show our dissatisfaction with lazy and preachy stories and games we are constantly being served up. Again, it continues. The Last of Us Part 2 might have sold 4 million copies in the first week, becoming PlayStation's fastest selling exclusive ever, but it has attracted review bombers on an epic scale. The anger has come about because, spoiler alert, Naughty Dog dared to kill off the protagonist of the first game. Not to mention to have the gall to represent women, lesbians, transsexuals and black people. This is something Naughty Dog pushes for in its games because ultimately it leads to better stories. Well, clearly not. Clearly not, I will say again. Why is there a transgender character 20 years into a fucking apocalypse? The game was approached from the point of identity politics and not story, which is why it cannot hold a candle to the first Last of Us game and these idiots can just fucking sod off. A subsection of the game world seems to despise this. They're angry that there is a transgender character, claiming that trans people have no place in a post-apocalyptic world because hormone treatment wouldn't be available. Talk about bad faith. Call it what it is. Transphobia, plain and simple. Not bad faith. Not transphobia. just logical, legitimate line of questioning. Review bombs on Steam or Metacritic or wherever are most often than not written by people who have clearly not played the game in question. You need only look at the Metacritic page for Part 2 to see that. The game has a critical aggregate of 94, which indicates acclaim. This is from 110 official magazines, websites and newspapers. It includes perfect scores from the likes of The Guardian, The Washington Post, IGN, Game Informer and more. A swathe of specialist and mainstream press have lauded the game for its narrative direction and technological achievements. Yes, Shill fucking media, like you, paid up suck up cuckboys who blame everyone but the creators who made the fucking mess in the first place. But that's not what's going on here. The reason gamers hate Part 2 isn't because it panders to modern progressive standards, it's because it refuses to pander to narrow-minded gamer expectations. No, it's definitely because it panders to modern progressive standards, just like Ghostbusters, just like Ocean's 11, just like Doctor Who, just like Terminator, just like Star Trek, just like Star Wars, and God knows how many future franchises being ruined by identity politics and far left agendas we've got yet to come. The article closes by saying, but more importantly, this rampantly toxic fandom is an embarrassment to games culture. It should be stamped out wherever it rears its head. Cool, carry on, mate. Once you've stamped out people who actually purchase the games and media, you won't have anything to produce or sell. You won't have anything to write about or to. That is the beauty of capitalism, bro. Eventually this will all collapse on top of you. Go woke, go fucking broke. Thanks for listening. If you liked the video, drop a like, let me know any comments or thoughts in the section below, and subscribe for future content. See you next time.